In this lesson, we are going to learn how to factor polynomials. Factoring a polynomial is simply the opposite of multiplying two binomials, which is something that we have done before. So, let's review how we multiply binomials first, and then we'll get into factoring. Our first example is going to be multiplying two binomials. Let's say we have two binomials, x plus 1 and x plus 9. So when we multiply two binomials, we use a method known as FOIL. That is, the F stands for multiplying the first terms in the binomial, so x and x. The O stands for the outer terms, which would be x and 9. The I stands for the inner terms, which would be 1 and x. And the L stands for the last terms, which would be 1 and 9. So going over that again, let's use FOIL. F stands for the first term, so x times x. X times x gives us x squared. Add that to the outer terms, x times 9, which would be 9x, added to the inner terms, which would be 1 times x, or 1x. And lastly, the last terms, 9 times 1, which would give us 9. Simplifying this down, we see that we have two terms that are alike, 9x and 1x. So we get x squared plus 10x plus 9 as our answer. Now, factoring polynomials is simply the reverse operation, or the breaking down of a polynomial. So it's simply going from taking a polynomial, just like this, and basically doing the reverse steps to end up with two binomials. So let's practice. Let's say, for example, we have the polynomial x squared plus 5x plus 6. In order to factor this, we must first understand how FOIL works. So, before we get to this, let's take a generic example. So, let's do what we just did with multiplying out two binomials, but let's say we do it for any case. So, we have the case of x plus a and x plus b. When we FOIL this out, we get our first terms, which is x times x, or x squared, added to our outer terms, x times b, which would be bx, added to our inner terms, a times x, or ax, plus our outer terms, a times b, or ab. Let me rewrite this so we can get a better view. So we have x squared plus ax plus bx plus ab. If we simplify this further, we can factor this out so that it'll look like x squared plus a plus b x, since they have a single x in common, plus ab. So in our final polynomial, we see that our last term is the product of our terms in our binomial, and our inner term is the sum of our terms. So, take for example our equation x squared, or our expression x squared plus 5x plus 6 again. 6 is represented by our last term. So we have two factors that must multiply to give us 6, while those same two factors must add to give us 5. So let's think about this. If we have 6, the factors of 6 would be 1 times 6, or 2 times 3. If we use these terms for a and b, we see that 1 plus 6 gives us I'm sorry, my video cut out on me. What I was saying is that we have two factors here, 1 times 6, which when added would give us 7. And 7 does not equal 5. However, the two factors 2 times 3, when added, would give us 5. So, these two work. So if we use those to factor out into binomials, we would see that we have x plus 2 and x plus 3, which would be our two binomials. This is simply factoring a polynomial to get two binomials. If we solve for these binomials, we would get x plus 2 equals 0. And solving for x, we would get x equals negative 2. And then we would do the same thing for this binomial, x plus 3 equals 0, and x equals negative 3. So when we factor out a polynomial, what we're doing is we're trying to find the solutions for our polynomial. In this case, our solution would be negative 2 and negative 3. Let's practice with one more before I let you guys go. Alright, let's take for example this polynomial. X squared plus 8x plus let's do 15. Okay. So, when we look at this and we say, how do we factor this? Well, let's look at the last term, because we have to find factors that would multiply to give us 15 and add to give us 8. When we think about our factors for 15, we have 1 times 5. 2 does not go into it, so 1 times 15. 3 times 5. 4 doesn't go into it, and now we're back to 5. So these are our factors for 15. 1, 3, 5, and 15. If we add 1 and 15 together, we'd get 16. However, if we add 3 and 5 together, we get 8, which is exactly what we wanted right here. So, the solution that we would get would be x plus 3 and x plus 5. This would be our factor for our polynomial equation. Solving with these factors, we get x plus 3 equals 0. So x would equal negative 3, and x plus 5 equals 0, and x would give us negative 5. Hopefully this video has shown you how to factor a little bit better. We will be doing more in a following video. Thank you.